What if I tell you that the first key to being able to solve the zombie apocalypse of The Walking Dead was already created and was already shown a few years ago? Have you ever heard about the fungus that was created and that has already worked, which has the objective of decomposing zombies in a much faster way, literally as if it were a virus in reverse, a virus that humans create to be able to spread among the zombies themselves, so that the zombies decompose faster. Many people must remember this point that was presented in one of the spin-offs of The Walking Dead, but which never had continuation. But because it was working, the scientists stayed alive and continued. What happened to them? Well, in this video I decided to bring this point, explain all this, and if you wanna know, stay here and let's go. Hello everyone who watching this beautiful channel, my name is João Victor and I'm back to talk about The Walking Dead universe again. And now let's talk about the zombies again. Because this video is not about the main show. I already explained a lot of points about the zombies in the main show. This video is specifically about the point that can be a zombie cure in the future. A resolution for this zombie apocalypse, yeah. But first, don't forget to check the like in this video, it helps me a lot with the promotion, and also don't forget to subscribe in this channel if you like more contents about the Walking Dead universe. Yeah, here's the point. I want to know here who remembers about the Walking Dead World Beyond, considered by several people to be one of the worst spin-offs of the Walking Dead for the way they execute the story. At the same time, it is also one of the most interesting and important spin-offs for this universe of the Walking Dead, mainly because of its ending. It's a series that the first season we can say is very disposable, very boring to watch, but the second season ends up being much more interesting, and especially the ending gives many gaps. For example, the post-credits scene, which shows the scientists in France, that business that to this day has not been clarified. But what I'm going to talk about in this video connects with this post-credits too, but it takes place in the same episode but before the post-credits scene, and it's a point that highlights for us how the universe of The Walking Dead at some point will lead to some cure or something like that, because otherwise they wouldn't have put that. Yeah, spoiler alert about the end of The Walking Dead World Beyond. There in the episode 10 of the second season we have the characters having to beat the CRM, but not destroy the entire CRM. The mission is to prevent them from destroying Portland. They succeed in this, and in the end they take shelter in an old mall, which is located in Ithaca area in New York. And yeah, do you remember about The Walking Dead Dead City, which is the spin-off that we have that takes place in New York, but specifically in Manhattan. In this spin-off they also show a little bit more about the state, and it's going to the second season now. It takes place a little in the future, like 7 or 8 years after this World Beyond story, and that there could be a gap to show the continuation. It's already a point, you have to remember it. But then we go to what really matters. We have the farewell of the two protagonists there, sisters Iris and Hope, because Iris will join other survivors to go to Portland to warn about the threat of the CRM. It also remembers the events of The Walking Dead The Ones Who Live, when Rick and Michonne fight against the CRM and did the same thing. But talking about World Beyond, after that we go to the final scenes of the show, and it shows the perspective of those who stayed in this mall, especially Hope and the scientists who stayed with her there, such as her father Leo Bennett and some others who were working for the CRM in search for the cure. But the way CRM was looking for a cure was kind of dirty. But anyway, I want to highlight this guy who appears here, which is Dr. Ellis, yeah, who ends up alive too, one of the leading scientists working for a cure there. He has an important role even in the beginning of the apocalypse and everything else. But so in World Beyond they end up working on this attempt to decompose the zombies. Yeah, Hope's idea of decomposition, a fungus that can accelerate the decomposition of necrotic tissues. From this idea they want to develop a super fungus that, if applied to zombies, will decompose zombies very quickly, speedy. And then it is, we see in the scene and see from the speech of the scientists in the series that there is a progress that is working. You see that it is being spread over the body of the zombie there. It is something promising that can proliferate among several other zombies and accelerate the decomposition of all, something that literally can end the zombies in the world. I know, there's still the part about the survivors, that even living people are still infected. If they die, they become zombies, but the zombies that there are, you can eliminate and exterminate in a much more effective way. This is already a very strong start, because later it can open a path to the cure, and I will explain why. But before I talk about that, I need to point out something very important, which ends The Walking Dead World Beyond. It is worth remembering that here we are 10 years and a few months after the beginning of the outbreak, and I have to remember this because in the end of this show, with all the scientists alive, including the Scientist Project, which is a project from Hope herself, who had this whole idea, everything is working. They got a makeshift laboratory in an abandoned mall, which is in the Ithaca area of New York, and they ended up alive, bringing the idea to us that progress may have happened. And there we go. We never saw them again. We never saw Hope again. We never saw Leo Bennett again. We never saw any of these other scientists, including Dr. Ellis, which is a very important person. We never saw them in the Walking Dead universe again, never heard about this fungus either. 7 years after the events of World Beyond happened, that the scientists were left there, and the question that remains, has there been progress? Are they still alive in this universe of the Walking Dead today? Were they able to evolve this fungus so that they can decompose zombies on a large scale? Because that's the main point. We saw in World Beyond that the fungus has something that worked. But now, after so many years, in the Walking Dead Dead City, we see that in the same state, in New York, there are still several zombies. This means that they may still be in development, something I said at the beginning of the video. The fungus itself works like a virus, so that you can spread in the zombies. After that, release the zombies there in nature and let them come into contact with each other. And so all zombies decompose much faster, and this spreads in a very high level of contagion around the world. And also, this is not a threat to humans, to survivors, because as has already been revealed in World Beyond, this fungus would only serve to decompose dead tissues, necrotic tissues, so this will not be a fungus that could affect humans. And I have to say, it is quite possible that these scientists, including Hope, are still alive, because then we get to the point about Dr. Ellis. Yeah, Dr. Tyler Brooks Ellis. Yes, this guy who appearing here on the screen, he was first mentioned in the universe of The Walking Dead by Eugene himself. When he appears there in the season 5 of the main show, along with Abraham and Rosita, he's brought in as a scientist who is working with Dr. Ellis and that needs to be taken to Washington to help with a cure. But then he reveals that this is all his lie, but the lie is that he participates in the project. The project apparently is true, but without Eugene. And Eugene mentions about the name of this project, the Human Genome Project. And I have to remember, when World Beyond showed Dr. Ellis for us for the first time, when Hope is there at the CRM facility studying, behind him there is the poster writing Human Genome Project, which proves to us that it's something real. The lie that Eugene was telling is that he was part of it, but the project is real. And in other words, Dr. Ellis had this project since the beginning of the outbreak. I need to remember, because a lot of people don't remember, going to the famous post-credits of World Beyond, the scientist there in France, when we saw that she opens the computer there and accesses the files. We see it is written in French, but they are articles by Tyler Brooks Ellis, Dr. Ellis's own articles that appeared in World Beyond. They are articles from the beginning of the outbreak. She opens it there and finds a video of Dr. Edwin Jenner, who is the CDC doctor from the beginning of the show, the main show. There must be a lot of more information than they had at the beginning of everything to be able to try to contain the zombies problem. That scene brought a sense to us that the scientific community communicated a lot trying to make a big cure, a resolution for this. Dr. Edwin Jenner said this at the beginning of The Walking Dead, that he communicated with France, and all the scientists used the research from Dr. Ellis. And that's the thing, Ellis is there, he's alive, and he ends up alive in World Beyond in what way? Working exactly on this project that I'm talking about in this video, which is the project of decomposing zombies through a fungus. So, knowing this, everything indicates due to the importance of this character, because they has already been mentioned in different shows of The Walking Dead at different times. Everything indicates that this character must remain alive, and all those other scientists must have remained alive. But then you can ask, why we are still able to see zombies in that city that happens 7 or 8 years after this story? Does it mean that it didn't work? Most likely that there were things missing time for them to be able to continue with it. Or we can work with another point. They may have achieved something that can really decompose the zombies. They just couldn't make it a global epidemic for the zombies. They couldn't make it contagious among the zombies, because it would be another more difficult step. But probably they achieved that, and they are improving it over time. Besides, as I said, we have Dr. Ellis involved, working on it, which is a guy who has been involved in the zombie point, studying zombies since the beginning of the outbreak. Scientists used his article for this, to try to stop the zombies. So if there's a scientist from the Walking Dead universe who understands a lot about zombies and who is still alive in this universe, is this guy, Dr. Tyler Brooks Ellis. In the current moment of the story, like in the Dead City timeline, what they may be trying to do is increase the level of contagion of this fungus, while at the same time they must have realized that just having the fungus will not solve everything. The zombie population in the world will decrease, but the population, as long as there are living human beings, the zombie population will still exist. So Dr. Ellis must be working on something to try a cure. And I will say, this should be one of the points that The Walking Dead is saving for a future production that will address zombie healing, zombie cure, or something close to that. The most scientific part of The Walking Dead that we know they always avoid. But yeah, there's a project, there's still something in this universe of The Walking Dead that is being worked on by scientists to be able to try a cure. There are scientists working for this, scientists who ended up alive in the show and who didn't continue to appear, but they're still alive. But then you can watch this video and ask me, when do you think they will continue this? In my opinion, I really believe that their goal is to keep doing Daryl's spin-off up to the 4th season, also Dead City up to a 4th season too, and then after that they will bring all the characters together. They should bring the zombie theme again, or in the middle of one of these spin-offs, Dead City or Daryl Dixon maybe. I have to remember, Scott Gimple, the content director of this universe of The Walking Dead, confirmed this year that he has a spin-off that will be announced soon in another country, and he also said that there are other productions, in plural, you know, that they are being worked on. It may be that some new one appears that we don't know about and addresses more of this. As always, there's the classic point about Tales of The Walking Dead, that can be a show that makes some exclusive episode to talk about the scientists. These are the possibilities, and I would say that for those of you who are watching now in early 2025, we should expect San Diego Comic-Con, which will take place now in the middle of the year in July, which is usually the event that they announce new things from the Walking Dead universe. If something new comes out, I will talk about here in the channel, so don't forget to subscribe here, don't forget to check the like in this video, it helps me a lot with the promotion. Go write in the comments if you knew about the fungus, about the scientists, about the importance of Dr. Ellis. Thank you for watching this video, and also thank you for your patience with my English. I'll be back soon, and bye!